Hello again, scholars. Welcome back to the Listen to Read Reading Center and your Daily 5 Passport. I'm so glad that you've come back to listen to more of Diary of a Wimpy Kid. In the last part that we read, we met our main character. His name was, if you remember, Greg Heffley. Now, Greg Heffley was telling us about what it's like to be in middle school on his first day of 6th grade. So, we're going to keep reading, and this is like a journal or a diary, so you'll notice that in the last time that you were here at the Listen to Reading Center, we read his first journal entry, which was written on a Tuesday in September. Now, we're moving forward in time, and you will see that we are going to be reading what he wrote on Wednesday. So, here we go. Remember that you need to follow along with your finger as I am reading to you. You need to have headphones so that no one else around you can hear you. You need to have your own copy of the reading. And you need to have your journal or a piece of paper that you'll keep in your folder. So that at the end of the story, you can answer the questions that you're supposed to for your class. So, let's go. Wednesday. Today we had phys ed. So the first thing I did when I got outside was sneak off to the basketball court and see if the cheese was still there. And sure enough, it was. Here's a picture of Greg on the basketball court, and there's the stinky cheese from the cheese touch that we talked about in the last chapter. That piece of cheese has been sitting on the blacktop since last spring. I guess it must have dropped out of someone's sandwich or something. After a couple of days, the cheese started getting all moldy and nasty. Nobody would play basketball on the court where the cheese was, even though that was the only court that had a hoop with a net. Then one day, this kid named Darren Walsh touched the cheese with his finger, and that's what started this thing called the cheese touch. It's basically like the cooties. If you get the cheese touch, you're stuck with it until you pass it on to someone else. And you'll see he's got his drawing here. He's got drawings throughout his journal to show you about what he is writing. He's illustrating his writing. And here are 3 kids, and they're all screaming because this one has the cheese touch. The only way to protect yourself from the cheese touch is to cross your fingers. But it's not that easy remembering to keep your fingers crossed every moment of the day. I ended up taping mine together so they'd stay crossed all the time. I got a D in handwriting, but it was totally worth it. This one kid named Abe Hall got the cheese touch in April, and nobody would even come near him for the rest of the year. This summer, Abe moved away to California and took the cheese touch with him. I just hope someone doesn't start the cheese touch up again because I don't need that kind of stress in my life anymore. Now, that was his entry for Wednesday. We've got some time left in the center, so we're going to move on to his Thursday entry. Thursday. I'm having a seriously hard time getting used to the fact that summer is over and I have to get out of bed every morning to go to school. My summer did not exactly get off to a great start, thanks to my older brother Roderick. A couple of days into summer vacation, Roderick woke me up in the middle of the night. He told me I slept through the whole summer, but that luckily I woke up just in time for the first day of school. You might think I was pretty dumb for falling for that one, but Roderick was dressed up in his school clothes and he set my alarm clock ahead to make it look like it was the morning. Plus, he closed my curtains so I couldn't see that it was still dark out. And here we see Roderick sitting on his bed. And here he is saying, shoot, because he thinks he slept through all of summer break. After Roderick woke me up, I just got dressed and went downstairs to make myself some breakfast like I do every morning on a school day. But I guess it must have made a pretty big racket because the next thing I knew, Dad was downstairs yelling at me for eating Cheerios at 3 in the morning. It took me a minute to figure out what the heck was going on. After I did, I told Dad that Roderick had played a trick on me and he was the one that should be getting yelled at. Dad walked down to the basement to chew Roderick out, and I tagged along. I couldn't wait to see Roderick get what was coming to him. But Roderick covered up his tracks pretty good. And to this day, I'm sure Dad thinks I've got a screw loose or something. And there's Roderick down in his room, fast asleep, looking like he never got out of bed. Alright, so, scholars, that's where we're going to stop today in the Listen to Reading Center. Now, I'm going to show you what your assignments are for the end of this Listen to Reading Center. You're going to have your journal, and you're going to be answering the following questions. If you are in the morning ELA class, you're going to answer these 3 questions. Be sure to put your name on your journal entry, the center, listen to reading, the date, and then copy the questions before you answer them. So, you're answering what happened, when did it happen, and where does the story take place based on what we read today. So, those 3 questions. And the reason you're answering them is to go along with our learning target of the week, which is answering the questions who, what, when, where, why, and how in order to make a summary of something that you read. So, that's what you're doing. Now, you can pause the video to copy the questions into your journal. If you are in the afternoon ELA class, you are going to write a summary of what we just read in your journal. So remember what we talked about in our lessons about writing a summary and only including the important details in the summary. You can now click out of Buzz and shut down your computer and begin working in your journals. I hope you enjoyed the story, and I look forward to continuing reading with you. Have a great day.